Audit Them's compliance tour of the state of Illinois continues. Who got failing marks on his checklist today? DeleteLawZ allegedly tweaks at another car crash scene in LA. His Australian accent is worse than our accent, and that's saying something. Plus, did the market reject Richie Rich Long Island Audit? All this and more on today's edition of Auditing Insanity. Hello and welcome to another edition of the Auditing Insanity Newscast brought to you by ReallyCoolNews. I'm Jim Finch and I'm going to be your host tonight for extended coverage of Long Island Audits, DeleteLawZ, and Audit Them, the man who asks you to audit them. Fall has come in like a lion as it's wet, cold, and raging like Jeremiah Payne facing the security guard at the Walmart. We're not sure if we even can picture that clearly at the moment as we're sick with a cold, but hey, whatever gets you through the night. On that disturbing note, we ask you to focus on GoFundMe market rejects Long Island Audit. As expected, steep drops in support for Sean Paul Long Island Audit Rios were observed on Friday as his campaign to raise $10,000 to defend himself from contempt charges in Nassau County, New York, has started to fizzle. After 2 days of hauling in thousands of dollars from his fans, Friday's take peaked at $133 to take the day for the Support Freedom Stand Against Tyranny Together Fund. While it was the only fund that saw a donation, with even our own ongoing expenses fund drawing blanks, the drastic drop-off in participation should be worrisome to the perceived king of all First Amendment auditors. The drop-off by Rios was more than likely caused by the fact that he did not live stream or put out more than a simple short promoting his arrest on Friday. Much like his other recent GoFundMe campaigns, Rios starts with a huge splash but tends to forget about the campaign without pursuing the promotion or outrage needed in order to maintain the intake of funds from his supporters. Even with such a small campaign, $10,000 is nothing when it comes to court costs, especially if he goes on the offense and sues Nassau County over the arrest. The growing unsubstantiated rumors are that Rios doesn't need anyone's help, as either his family or his YouTube revenue alone will easily pay for his court costs. So the GoFundMe is symbolic at best. The arrest video itself had brought in an estimated $1,500 in views based on YouTube's standard rate and approximately 331,000 views, and the follow-up live session between Rios and attorney Jacob Uriel brought in approximately $875 based on 192,000 views. Factor in ad revenue and sales of his various sponsorships and merchandise, and he could be seeing about twice as much for the arrest. For live streams on his channel, the arrest is doing better viewership numbers than any of his recent lives, with the conversation video between Rios and Uriel doing slightly above average numbers. His lives do worse than his produced videos on average, but still do better than most of his competitors, including Jose Chile de Castro, who personally claims to be the top auditor in the field. If Reyes is really in need of the GoFundMe money for the attorney's fees, he'd be wise to hammer home with lives and produced videos until the money was raised, as that seems to be a problem with his recent campaigns. Not one has reached a set goal, even after a year's worth of promotion, as he just doesn't seem to put the effort into closing out the deal for whatever reason. We'll look further into completion rates in tomorrow's column, but for now, Rios has stalled at a 38% completion rate and may be stuck there for a while unless he puts out another video or has a source of new outrage to give his fans a reason to give him donations. On that note, if you'd like to donate to keep the torment of Helen demanding new puffy Cheetos from Jim every 3.5 minutes despite her just having been fed, or to keep him writing this dreadful column each day, you can contribute to the GoFundMe run by this very channel. All proceeds go to keeping the lights on, eating, and writing new stories to feature here and on ReallyCoolSite.org. DeleteLawZ reports from accident scene again. Friday night saw DeleteLawZ Jose Chile de Castro walking the streets of Los Angeles again, hustling for footage of coppers at accident scenes while trying to turn one man on to his idea of digital detainment and the elimination of handcuffs in most police activities. Friday's report saw the police arrive on scene of a car crash and immediately began putting up police tape to block off the entire roadway. An officer told De Castro that it was caused by a suspect fleeing in a car and crashing at the intersection. The suspect was also said to be in custody. De Castro made a brief pitch to the officer about digital detainment, with his standard line about how police don't need to put a man who beat his wife in handcuffs when they arrive at a domestic battery situation before the officer wandered off, showing no interest in De Castro's desire to change the system. Left to his own devices, De Castro began to watch as a police officer used a rolling distance measurer to calculate distances between items at the scene. The YouTuber invented a storyline where the officer was having problems with his stick and at one point broke into a fake Australian accent to narrate the story of the officer as a lost deer about to be pounced on by a predator. De Castro later adding that if he were to put a box of donuts down on the ground in front of him, the officers would all flock to him and say what a great guy he was. He then went into an extended conversation with himself that he had been eating a lot of donuts and compared his body to that of the officer who was using the measurer and claimed he was just as fat but had more body muscle than the officer. The YouTuber then became obsessed with the way the man was walking. He brought up another recent obsession, men experiencing chafing from their pants. De Castro explained that the tight polyester pants the officer was wearing caused the officer great chafing, and that De Castro had experienced chafing in the past that caused him to walk bow-legged. This is the third or fourth time that De Castro has gone into the subject of chafing and being bow-legged in recent live streams. It seems to be a new obsession or problem De Castro has been experiencing, as his new format of walking the streets of LA late at night during the early fall seems to have made it an issue he returns to on a regular basis. With his advancing age and declining health, and De Castro's plain weirdness during the stream, it brought concerns for his mental and physical health from observers. His refusal to go on camera during the stream had only compounded the concerns, as he was acting weirder than normal. At the end of the video, De Castro made an on-camera pitch for his 5A cop cards and trifold products. His ragged appearance and pinprick-sized pupils provided all the answers most viewers needed as to the strangeness observed during the live stream. De Castro's much-hyped TeamDLZ.com has again failed to launch this week. He is expected to livestream again later today. Audit Them's compliance tour continues. In our continuation of the coverage of Audit Them's ongoing compliance tour of obscure towns in Illinois, we focus on the small town of Peotone, Illinois, which recently was compliance checked by the strange YouTuber. As always, Audit Them represents himself and no one else. His checklists are his own, and he holds no power or authority over anyone. While he is armed with actual state statutes, he doesn't have the power to enforce those statutes, and his reports may or may not be sent to the Attorney General of the state of Illinois. No one is sure what he actually does with them. Again, today's target was a sleepy town of Petone, Illinois, located 43 miles south of Chicago, with a population of around 5,000 citizens. Audit Them wandered into the town hall and was immediately greeted by Kelly Lamore, the park manager. Upon entry to the building, he noted that the board and commission was listed on the front window, but he indicated that he needed to get his standard list of information from Lamore, including the total amount of operating budget, total number of full and part-time employees, and block diagram. Lamore attempted to direct him to the FOIA officer, Jacqueline Van Overmeren, who was not present at the time, but Audit Them pointed out that the information would be made available immediately. He then said he would give her a few seconds to gather the information. Startled, Lamore wrote down the information Audit Them was seeking, then asked what agency or group he represented. Audit Them answered in his usual manner, stating, "Today I am just acting as a regular member of the public. Today." Inquiries to his name and contract information resulted in him giving the name George and a copy of his email. He again insisted that today he was just a member of the public and asked Lamore if it was great that someone came and checked if they were in compliance with the statutes. Lamore agreed, but said she didn't like his tactics. Lamore then took a picture of Audit Them with her camera, resulting in Audit Them asking for a FOIA request form. He told Lamore that she was required not to delete the photo of him, as now he was going to FOIA request a copy of that photo. Eventually, Audit Them asked if Lamore would be able to provide his requested information within the next 5 minutes. She said she would not be able to do so. He said he would be giving the office a failing grade on his checklist and would be back in 30 days to check their compliance with the statute. The YouTuber ended the video by noticing that the fire extinguisher was out of date before walking out of the building and shambling back to his car. And we're back. Remember, despite our lingering illness tonight, we'll still be around for the great celebration of our 1,200 subscriber mark. We've all worked hard and contributed to the success of the channel over the past few months. From our current lineup featuring Pope Phil, NCR Network, and Really Cool Rose, to Verbo, Hank, Becca, and Shuggy, we've all contributed to this achievement, and all can take credit for everything that brought us to this point. Tonight may be a normal episode of the All-Star Panel, but it's also a celebration of all of our hard work and a thank you to everyone involved in making the channel successful, including you. We're producing the show for your entertainment and wouldn't be here without you, so thank you, and please be on hand with us tonight, the 28th of September, as we celebrate everyone equally tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern. On that note, we're out of here. Good night, everyone.